Hi, my name is Daniel Zorek, and today I'll be doing a quick review of the V.360 panoramic camera. Looks a little bit like a spice grinder, I would say, but it is like a GoPro style action camera that shoots a full 360-degree panorama. And I'll give you my thoughts on this thing now. The reason why I ordered it is that well, we're all biologists on this YouTube channel, so I'm interested in the visual environment of certain animals. And the idea was that if we find an animal and we want to know what it's looking at in its day-to-day life, if we have a panoramic camera, we can just plonk it down where we found the animal, shoot a short sequence of video, and then analyze it later on the computer. And so I thought for this, the V360 would be potentially good because it's an all-in-one solution. There are other ways of achieving the same thing, like by hacking together like a bunch of GoPros in a rig, but that would have been both more expensive and more cumbersome. So I decided to give this one a go. There's a lot of info out there on this camera in terms of its build quality, its controls, and so on. Some people have done unboxings. I won't talk too much about that because it's out there, but there wasn't much info on the actual image quality of this camera. So really quick, it comes nicely packed with a bunch of useful accessories like this little remote control here, which really is just 3 buttons. It's an on-off button and a photo and a video button. The only feedback you're gonna get is a little LED on the camera that will switch from green to red when it's recording. Usually it's meant to be controlled with a smartphone app, which works pretty nicely. You get a live view of the camera. The connection works pretty well via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, same as most modern cameras that connect to smartphones. And I found that to be relatively simple. Well, it's not a perfectly smooth process, but it works. Like at least when I tried it on an iPhone 6 Plus, I was pretty happy with it. It does, for me, have a lag though. So it's not choppy, the live view, but it is lagging behind by a few seconds actually. Not sure if that's meant to be like that. I've tried a few things to get it to stop that, but in the end, this is meant to be started and then put somewhere, and then it'll just record, and so I wasn't too concerned about that part of it. You'll notice that so it has this this transparent cone around here. So that's not a lens, but that is basically to it's structural, and it keeps dust and everything out from the sensor and from this mirrored cone in here. And that's all great. The whole unit seems pretty sturdy to me. So one problem that was immediately apparent was that any fingerprint on there was completely apparent in the video, because I assume just because it's a small sensor and it's far enough away from it that all that stuff shows up. So you have to be very carefully cleaning this before you shoot any video with it. There's a microfiber pouch coming with the camera, so you can use that. But it's been kind of challenging to get everything off. So that's just there. I'm also not sure how scratch-proof it is. I haven't seen any scratches, but anyway, it's not glass, so who knows. Now, let me get to the meat of it right away. I've been shooting a few test videos. You'll see a few of those. They're not spectacular, obviously. I've been treating this thing like a raw egg because I wanted to potentially send it back if it wasn't suitable for my purposes. And so the camera shoots at a number of different resolutions, and that's about the only thing you can manually control. If you expect typical camera controls with this, you're out of luck. But you can turn the resolution down, you can put some Instagram style filters on the video or photos. It also shoots photos. It even has a surveillance mode that I haven't played around with. But that's about it. Now, the video quality. So the resolution, the maximum resolution is really high. It's about, I think, 6,500 by 4,000 pixels. And that is basically 2 stripes. Each is 180 degree of viewing angle, and they're stacked in a 4:3 video that you then have to cut apart with your video editor. So you have to be prepared to do that if you want full resolution, which is it's not that hard. But if you're not if you're not that experienced with video editing, then you might be in for a little learning experience. However, how long can you record with it at this massive resolution? You can actually record for a very long time. It lasts for an hour at 10 gigabytes. And that gets me to the main problem I have with this camera. To get the resolution shoved on the memory card for such a long time, it has to do some really heavy compression, which is immediately obvious when you look at the video files. They are over-compressed, they're washed out, they're actually pretty terrible looking, unfortunately. And that is under bright daylight. So it's kind of blurry, most of it. Then, well, chromatic aberration is there, and it's pretty massive, but that's not a surprise. I expected that with a camera of this style. For my work purposes, I didn't need great resolution either. I didn't need I didn't have high expectations on this. But yeah, so the next thing is the dynamic range, which is a real problem for me because it is really slim. So you're gonna get a very huge percentage of overexposed areas and a lot of underexposed ones as well. My thinking is that it does some average metering of the brightness in the scene, and because it shoots a 360-degree panorama, if you have a dark object in there like a hedgerow, then everything else will become kind of overexposed and blown out. It would be really nice if there was a manual, like a function to manually set the exposure. It's not in there though. The next thing was the frame rate. So it shoots at a maximum of 24 frames per second, but and it is in the small print, they're not being cagey about it, but it'll drop the frame rate if the lighting isn't good enough. And I've tested that and it seemed to drop pretty early. So even under outdoors bright light conditions, when it wasn't perfectly direct sunlight, it dropped down to like 16 or 21 frames per second, which isn't really a great video anymore. Even bigger issue was that there seemed to be some choppiness in the video too. So and that makes it completely unusable. That wasn't in all videos, I have to say, but here's an example of that. And I don't know if that was in a real video, that would be very frustrating to encounter. I have not found these issues when dropping down the frame rate to the second highest. Then you're going to have a trade-off in terms of resolution, but it'll stay at a steady 30 frames per second and be smooth, and looks actually nice. I preferred that in the end. Okay, so this all being said, I'm gonna send this camera back. Unfortunately, it won't really do it for me. So maybe compared with the competition, it's good, and there are lots of things that I like about it. But unfortunately, I think the main reason to buy this camera is to take video, and if the video quality is really so subpar, then for me it's not worth it. And I think $450 is a lot to ask for a camera like that. I think you're better off going with a GoPro if you're using this for action sports and so on, because and if you have a specific reason to use a 360-degree camera, of which there are many, and I had one of those, then you have to be very aware that the image quality is something you'll have to work around. And but these are early days for these panoramic cameras, these all-in-one solutions, and I'll stay hopeful that the version 2 of this camera will give better manual controls and just a better image quality, higher dynamic range, and just maybe even offer just a mode that will record at a higher bitrate at the expense of storage space. I would be perfectly happy with that. But for now I can't really recommend it. And that's it from me and from CritterSnap. If you like this video, or if you disagree with it, if you have any experiences with this camera, please let us know in the comments or Twitter at CritterSnap. All right, and that's me out. Okay, bye.